So without further ado, I would like to join us right here, our guest that is coming all the way from Belgium, Mr. Christophe Tans. Chris, welcome to your own restaurant.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. What a beautiful location you have here.
I agree.
Yes.
Look at the view. Beautiful background.
Definitely.
Slogan, attitude is everything. I think that comes back very well in hospitality.
It does. Too bad we cannot shoot the view because it's too bright.
Yeah.
But this is, I'm sure for the sunset, it's a beautiful view.
Oh, it's a magnificent view.
Yes.
Sunset here is the place to be. So.
It is. I will be coming very soon.
Good.
So Chris, thank you for joining us. And like I shared, today we would like to learn a little bit more about your own career, your background. You're coming all the way from Belgium to this beautiful island of Aruba. So I am sure there's a lot that we can learn from your own path. But before we do that, I would like to do a little icebreaker game with you.
Okay.
Where I have some sticky notes that you can see there's two colors. There's the yellow and the orange. The orange will be question of this or that, okay? And I'm not gonna tell you what the yellows are.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and pick one.
You got me intrigued at the yellow, so I'm gonna go for the yellow.
This one, okay. So the question is, Chris, what's the most bizarre or unexpected thing a guest has ever requested at one of your restaurants, and how did your team handle it?
The most bizarre. It takes me a while back. That was at my my previous hotel where I worked. I would say that was a female escort. That was the most bizarre thing they asked. Yeah, it had nothing to do with food and beverage, but yeah.
And so they were at the restaurant and they were asking you to assist them.
Actually, like, can you provide us with any services that they offer? I said, at that particular time, I said, I personally cannot tell you, but I'm sure that if we go by the concierge, that we can get you those numbers and then you can take it from there. Yeah, that was the most bizarre and uncomfortable at the same time.
And I'm sure. And did they come directly to you? Or did they ask you?
No,
one
it
of
went
your
via
members?
first my staff member, then they came to me like, what do we do? I was like, well, we're not gonna just provide this information. We're just gonna go through concierge like we always do, and they can take it from there.
How did the staff handle it? What did they say? Were they uncomfortable? They were like, oh, let me get back to you, sir.
No, they were very calm, very professional. I mean, that's part of hospitality, right? It's not our place to know and think what other guests are wanting to do and with their spare time. Whatever choice they make, we are there to serve them, and that we do that at the best of our ability, even if it's providing services that are beyond our control.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, that was our icebreaker. Bizarre things that
very
happened.
much, yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. Now, before we continue into the questions, tell us a little bit more about your career, where you're coming from, and what got you to Aruba.
All right. Well, I'm from a small city called Tongeren in Belgium, the Limburg part. I think in Aruba, the Dutch part is more familiar, Maastricht and all that. It's very close to it. I grew up there 13 years, then I moved to Holland. Lived in Maastricht for 17 years. Met my wife, who is from the island. So that will come back in the story later.
Nice. You met her in Maastricht?
Yes, I met her there. Yeah, 2010 I started working in the hospitality industry. Started as a dishwasher, waiter, bartender, worked my way up. But then I quickly plateaued because it was a family-owned restaurant. It was a tavern, 24 rooms in a hotel. Not much growth opportunities beyond maitre d'. So my wife and I had this is the conversation back and forth, like, hey, why don't we go to Aruba? I said, well, it's your island, you know it better than I do. We did, and then as I was waiting for my permit to come through, this great opportunity at the Ritz-Carlton opened up as supervisor. They waited 4 months, which I till this day was an amazing thing for them to do for me. They didn't have to. There was plenty of opportunity for everyone else. But they waited 4 months. My permit came through, started working there. And since then I've been going from supervisor to assistant manager, director of pool and beach experience, then director of restaurants, and now F&B director here at Renaissance Wind Creek.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a great career path.
Yeah.
How come restaurant? How come hospitality?
I was brought up in it. My dad used to own his own tavern. That being said, not the most successful tavern. Was in Diepenbeek in Belgium. But he did his best. He loved the bartending. It was an old school tavern. You had your vaste klant, your locals that come
Yes,
in.
yes.
And I kind of brought up that we lived above the tavern. So I kind of saw how it was being done. And then my mother, her father, and my father's mother, they owned a bigger tavern, one of the most famous ones in Belgium at the time in the 80s and the 90s. The Bond, it was called. That was huge. So kind of everybody, it was like a family trade almost. After that closed down after a while, business changed, transitioned. Everybody kind of spread out, and I ended up getting back into hospitality in 2010 after I finished my studies for bouwkunde construction.
Wow.
Yeah, completely left field.
That is a
Yeah,
huge difference. There's
I
a
know.
difference.
I know.
Why didn't you do, most people that, especially if you already grew up with in the ambience of restaurants and business, you never thought of your own restaurant or going to that area? You said, let me have a backup plan.
Yeah, I never saw it as a backup. It was really more of hospitality is more of a passion of mine. I really enjoy it. I wake up and I get to say I get to go to work versus I have to go to work. For me, that's a
Exactly.
big difference. I thought about having an own restaurant, but the competition out there is brutal. It is brutal. If you don't have a unique concept that is, gonna put you aside from your competition, you're gonna have a very hard time in it. And Aruba is so touristically challenged right now in the sense that there's so many things going on. Even on the labor market, it's just. I've thought about it, but at this point in my life, it's not for me. I'm focusing on my babies, on my twins and my other two kids, and we're gonna do that and on my career here. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm sure the way you're doing it is also a great experience. I mean, going from bartender and you did everything up to being a food and beverage director is the ladder you want to climb.
Exactly. That was always the goal. Always wanted to reach the pinnacle of my discipline within the hospitality, within a property level. And I think I get the best of both worlds. I don't have to have work-life balance, and I'm able to build a career, which is for me is really, really important. I think that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. I think Wind Creek does that better than anyone. Really offering our team members on any level a good work-life balance and the ability to build a career in hospitality. So, which is also why I wanted to make the transition over here to Wind Creek. I heard a lot of good things about them, and everything was true.
And it's not an easy thing to do because hospitality is a 24/7 industry. True. So it is great to hear that here the property is trying to enforce that part because it's a small island. It's in operations that run constantly, and we need to make sure that we are able to give our team members and leaders, everyone, the capacity to balance it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say so, because that eventually also will come back into the retention of people. The way you treat the people will show how you as a company can continue to grow and continue to consistently provide experiences as you go on. So I agree. Work-life balance is equally important. You can be here, but also at home.
And I'm glad that you're touching that point because it's actually the direction where I want to go to make sure that today we're talking on topics that are really important for our target audience, that are leaders in the industry that might be getting ready to go to the next level, or even restaurant owners or management. Aruba is quickly growing with more hotels, more restaurants. As a matter of fact, I learned myself doing some research that on TripAdvisor we have about 540 restaurants listed.
Yep. Yeah, that's correct.
On TripAdvisor, that's without counting the restaurants that are not up there yet.
Correct.
But we have many restaurants. And with every growth, there are growth pains as well. And one of them is staffing.
Yep.
Okay, so there is this leader from the industry that she gave me a really great question that said, what are you doing to attract, keep great staff, and how do you help them grow in their careers right now in the industry we're at?
No, it's a good question. I would say it comes down to the culture that you're willing and able to live. Like for instance, Wind Creek, it's all about our team. It's all about the team members. What makes us attractive is very simple. We care. We want to have and provide the best possible work-life balance, as I earlier mentioned, and best opportunities to grow in your career. Wind Creek does it better than anyone else because that's really our core motivation. How can we grab the best talent? Once we have them based on our culture and based on what we offer to our team members, how do we retain them is simply by having those one-on-one conversations, getting to understand what it is that they want out of their career, help them devise a plan, and then continue to push them and follow up with them and continue to train them. Hands-on training, conversations. I think retention ultimately comes down to the leadership team. It all trickles down from the top. And if we're all singing the same tune, everybody is aligned on what we're trying to accomplish, and we're trying to keep pushing the team members to join us, to build their career, I think eventually retention is inevitable. You will build such a strong bond that, I mean, here at Renaissance, we have team members that have been with us for more than 30, 35 years. That says something about the culture that you live. That says something about the hotel in itself and the leadership that has been leading the cause over the years. And I think that's where we are strong. So it's about treating your team well, giving them the possibility of growth, work-life balance, flexibility. These days, flexibility is so key. You're seeing definitely a shift in millennials, baby boomers, the future that's coming up. I don't know what the Gen Y and Z and whatever is coming up, right?
I'm Gen Y, just so you know.
Well, I'm millennial, so I fall under that category. Not a lot of good things get said about millennials from time to time, but hey. But the thing is that that's where we really can make a difference. Like give them that work-life balance, the flexibility. Tourism is changing too. It's changing with it. And with that, we need to change. And I think we are changing to that pace quicker and a lot better than most, which is why we are able to retain more of our team. And they want to stay with us because they enjoy it here.
And you know, you are mentioning so many important points that it sounds so easy to do. But the more I'm working with restaurant owners and I'm in the industry myself, it's easy to say and to picture, you know, let's management be aligned. Let's all encourage and have career opportunities, growth opportunities for our employees. Probably for a hotel, well-established, is an easy thing to do. What about these restaurants? Because I can say 40% of the 540 restaurants out there are locally owned restaurants. How do you create, how can we replicate this beautiful structure that hotels have and apply it for these small, medium-sized restaurant owners that want to have that alignment in leadership from owners, because there are less layers, right? You find owners, you find managers, probably a supervisor, and the line staff. How can we create that everyone's so synchronized that we are able to keep the staff?
Well, there's a huge difference between hotels and the restaurants. And it most certainly is not easy to get that structure and to maintain it, because everybody needs to consistently do the same thing over and over so that you can maintain it. Restaurant business is slightly different, right? From my point of view, and the conversations that I've had with many people that work in restaurants currently, some of which we hired, some of them which I personally know just by dining there, is that ownership needs to be more involved. Often of the time you see that when restaurants become well-known, well-established, kind of becomes automated almost. It's more of a hands-off approach. If you really want to make a difference as owners, I would say you need to be involved from the day to day. There is no way, if, ands, or buts. That's the only way that you're going to be successful. Plus, it also depends on the core model that you want as a restaurant. What are you trying to achieve? What makes you different? What makes you attractive for people to join you? And the core restaurants don't have the same level of ability to offer trainings and that sort of thing, but what are you doing different from other restaurants that could be the difference maker? There's plenty of opportunities to sign your team members up at Enseñanza de Empleo, try to get new core skills in there. You can work together with other restaurants to set up nice events. So what makes you attractive? Why?
Exactly.
You need to figure out the why the people want to have to join you. And then, what's equally important for a lot of our team members, more important than anything, is what's the compensation look like? Which is a completely different topic, of course, but it's an important one.
It is a very important right now because with all the restaurants and hotels opening, we see a lot of shifting of employees. You see many restaurants have long lists of opening positions because people are shifting.
Correct.
What would you say that are the top two most important points for an employee to be willing to join your company? Based off what you hear and what you see?
I would say growth, company culture, that one above else. I will actually switch my answer to company culture first.
Company culture.
Growth,
Okay.
work-life balance. I think those three are such an important thing right now. They probably always have been, but again, the mentality has shifted.
Yes.
Those three things.
People are even willing to earn less,
Yeah.
but at least to have more flexibility and balance.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that says something. That it's not no longer about what you offer in terms of compensation. It's important, yes. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like I'm gonna give you this amount and people will sign up. No, they're also considering about, hey, I've got a couple of children at home. I like to travel. I would love to have that work-life balance, but I also want to have the ability to enliven my passion and become a server.
Yeah.
In Aruba you can, people tip well, the compensation is very decent. People want that extra day off. They prefer it actually over an additional
$100.
Yeah. Money can always be made. The time you lose is lost, right? So that's basically the philosophy that what we offer as Wind Creek is a very value and purpose-driven culture where our team members are number one, and work-life balance and the flexibility.
Awesome.
I think people want that.
Yeah, definitely. And now let's go to the second question. That would be, this is my question. And then there's another question that comes from one of the leaders out there in the industry. My question for you is, if you had the opportunity to take over a restaurant with poor reviews, low staff morale, unclear processes, and declining sales,
Yeah, as a result.
a restaurant almost closing down. No,
yeah.
I'm kidding. And you had the chance to change and fix one area, what would you prioritize first and why?
The leadership component.
Okay.
Because clearly there has been some decisions made that did not make any sense, and I'm a core believer that it starts with leadership. If leadership is right, the goals are clear, the vision is clear, then everything else trickles down to the team. The leader is the one who established the culture of taking care of your team members. The leader is also responsible for making sure that the vision and the budget and all that is clear, achievable, clear goals, basically. I would say leadership. It always comes back to that. You cannot saddle your team members with that responsibility. Their responsibility is to take care of the guest. But as leader, you are now in charge of taking care of your team members and the business as a whole. So that's a responsibility, I think, falls on the leaders all the time.
But
So.
leadership, you see, not because you have the business skills or the business mindset means that you have the leadership. It's two different things that I have all the skills and finance and the know-how to start my own restaurants. But what do I do if I don't have the leadership and I'm not able to give over to my manager, to my restaurant manager or general manager, the vision or the structure that I want to see in my restaurants?
Then I would surround myself with people that do have that. Because the way I hire based on my weaknesses. I know what my skill set is, I know what my strengths are. I'm pretty good with people. I'm okay and I'm good, maybe great at some things, but I'm not perfect at everything. I would hire someone that can help me do that. because you can be great at finances, you can be great at all that stuff, and that's fantastic. But if you don't communicate well with your staff that is going to actually do the work, and you cannot explain your vision or your goal, and I have a hard time succeeding, because if you don't know what you're saying, how can you expect the team members to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve?
Definitely.
I would surround myself with people that have that knowledge, have that skills, and trust in the process that they can help you get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Now, Chris, because I really enjoyed the sticky notes,
Okay.
how about we go for one more? Just one more.
Sure. I'll go for the orange this time.
The orange this time. All right, let's do that. Let's see. This is a this or that question, Chris.
Okay.
You have a restaurant that is fully booked, but no online reviews, or you have a place with awesome reviews, but you are constantly struggling to fill in the seats.
Yeah.
Which one would you pick?
I would go with the fully booked restaurant.
Oh, you will go with the fully booked restaurant, but no online reviews.
Yeah.
How would you fix that?
Well, it comes down to working together with your, in my case, sales and marketing department, helping us get our name out there. I'm a true believer that if you deliver service, word of mouth will go around, which is the first thing that will help you fill up your restaurant. Online reviews are great. It's one of those mediums that get used a lot right now, social media. But there's something to be said that if you can still fill up your restaurant completely, and you do it without all those reviews, without that just means that people are talking very well about you. They're talking well about the service, about the food quality. And if anything, that kind of makes you a little bit more special.
Yes.
So name's not as much out there, but you're still able to manage that. You're doing something right. And I'm thinking that it's because of the service that we provide, and people do talk about the experience with other people. They want to make them join again. I would still go for that.
Nice, nice. Yeah. Well, in my opinion, I think reviews, definitely want to have your restaurant fully filled, but reviews are still important. How would you encourage your guests to give their reviews in your restaurant? If that's something you want, is one of your goals.
Yeah, that's a little bit tougher to do. I mean, you don't want to solicit at the table neither, right? You don't want to go out there and just try, hey, I need you to
fill this for me.
Fill that out, please. No.
Yes.
No, we always, for instance, here at LG, the way we do it is we ask our guests, like, if you enjoyed service and you feel like leaving a kind word, we have a little TripAdvisor card, you can mention us on TripAdvisor, and we'll be more grateful for it, and we hope to see you again. So we do it that in a fun way, which is one of our core motivations that we're in Creek as well, be the best, do it right, and have fun. We just really want to make sure that we do it ever so easy.
Yes.
It doesn't come across pushy, like, hey, we need to be on there.
Yes.
Again, the experience will speak for itself. And again, that will then, embellishing over time grow, and that's why we've been able to be so successful over the past couple of years. So and we continue to being successful. Yeah.
I saw one of these restaurants that they have like a card, and the guests can tap it, and then they can get their reviews. They can go right away on the TripAdvisors. There's really these cool things that restaurants are willing to apply, because technology is everything. And right now we're just moving into technology, AI, so many things that are trending that maybe the restaurants are not applying as yet. And that takes me to my next question, that is, how are you using AI to improve the things for your team and guests, both in the kitchen and in the dining room?
That's interesting. I'm actually, we are gladly implementing PatSpot, which has an AI component, not entirely AI, but AI component. We take health and cleanliness very seriously. In our property, we also have to, we're encouraged to do BSA, or brand standard audits. We get audited every year, which we got a second green score 2 years in a row, so that's fantastic. We're in the high 90s.
Definitely.
The way PatSpot works, we're trying to digitize everything in the kitchen at the moment to make it a lot easier for the team members. We also notice that there's a lot of language barriers. We have a lot of different cultures, diverse cultures on the island. everybody needs to work and everybody has a skill, but the communication is not always great.
Definitely.
PatsPod helps us with that because it's all digitized. It's very clear, it's color coded and that type of thing.
It's like an app or a login?
It's
How
a
does it
platform
work? Okay.
that we use via an iPad in the kitchen that we can
Okay.
go from area to area. We can do our A1s, A2s, A3s, our railroad production, cleanliness. We can have that all uploaded directly to the system. The AR part comes in where we do our hand washing, so we really stick firmly to the 30 minutes. Then now we need to scan to see if there's any pathogen left on your hands.
Wow.
It will tell us if
That
you
is
still
really
have.
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's like a scan you put in your
Yep.
hands and it tells
You
you,
put your
it's
hands-
clean, too many bacteria. So wash
Correct,
your hands
wash
again.
and it goes really in
That's
depth.
really cool.
It is because
I need that for my kids.
What it does, it is also gives us a good overview. Our property is quite
Okay.
spread, so it gives us how many times did the person wash his hands today, when did they wash their hands, how often, and that sort of thing. It was
Wow.
really in that details that really helps us get our cleanliness and our hygiene at a top level where we want it to be. So that's just one. We're working on a very cool program, a KDS system for the kitchen, where we're going to have everything digitized in the kitchen. So we're going to eliminate all the paperwork because we're also into sustainability. We want to
I like that.
remove a lot of those components where let's cut trees to create more paper. Well, we're going to go completely digital in the kitchen. We're going to have our TV screens where all the orders will come in digitized. We'll have the time frame on how fast the orders.
That
need
means
to
you're
come
not
through.
going to work with ticketing anymore?
No, everything will be digitized. We're using with tablets so we can speed up the service even more. It goes
Wow.
from the guest straight to the kitchen, so it cuts your waiting time quite significantly. So those are just some of the things that we're currently looking into.
Impressive.
That we're actually implementing this year.
I had no idea about that. And I love the scanning.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of my favorites too. So yeah, those are some of the things that we're doing currently, and
Interesting.
there's more to come.
For the small restaurants out there, I mean, hotels, they do have the budget. But
Yeah.
if we're looking at smaller size restaurants, what is something maybe that won't cost as much, but still restaurant owners can apply?
I think,
Or even as a leader
Yeah.
to manage your operation?
I mean, I'll use PatsPod as one of the examples. It's not quite expensive.
Okay.
We did
Are we talking about $100 per month?
No, it's gonna be around $200 per month.
Okay, okay.
For a restaurant, I might seem that's quite out there,
Okay.
but it gives you that ability to just have everything digitized, but also makes it a lot easier in terms of filing and whatnot. You're a little bit more sustainable. You don't have to buy as much so you're probably gonna save on buying paper and that sort of thing. So the long-term investment is much more significant than the short term.
Nice.
Having a good structure in place, working with LSOPs, any restaurant, any hotel can create LSOPs, local standard operating procedures. You need to have those.
You're talking my language.
Yeah. So I mean,
have
you
to.
don't need to be a hotel
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that.
No,
so
no, definitely.
you can actually structure that. Comes down to training, retraining, consistently training. Leadership is about repetition.
Yes.
You're gonna repeat yourself more than you want to, but it's part of it until it becomes sustainable
Yes.
and consistent. So I would say that. Yeah.
Interesting. I see a lot of, as part of the communication, because you mentioned that, what was the app called again?
PatsPod.
PatsPod. It's helping with the communication. I see that in the smaller operations for restaurants, there's a lot of communication happening in WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Is there an easier way that you're using? I know myself, I'm working with one of the apps that helps. It has the checklist. It has chats for team members. Because checklist is also a very important part of the operations, that you want to have your server, your staff, all the way from your hostess to have your
Right.
checklist, your supervisor, your manager. Is there a way that you are doing to use checklists that are paperless, for example?
So at the moment, we use WhatsApp for that too. We have safety
Okay.
culture.
Okay.
We do that usually mostly for our audits.
Okay.
We also use QPower to upload that. I'm not a big fan of cell phones on the floor.
Okay.
Our team members should be focusing on our guests. So it's hard to control what they're doing on there. But we're trying to go as paperless as we possibly can.
Okay.
So most things go through through cell phone or an iPad device,
Okay.
and that will then be straight uploaded to the email. So we try to cut as much paper
Okay.
as we can in the process, and have those checklists completed. And that's actually one of the nice attributes that PatSpot always has. You can upload your checklist as well, and then you
Nice.
can just complete it and digitally sign it. So you actually eliminating all the
Eliminated
paperwork right
all
away.
the paperwork.
Yes.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, Chris, I think we are covering a lot of information. I mean, we can keep talking and talking about processes, about checklists, what works, what doesn't work, about the hiring, how to hire a good leader, how not. I mean, the conversation are endless.
Right.
But I think what you shared is already giving us a lot of insight, especially the AI. I think in Aruba, there's still a huge opportunity for us to start implementing many ways to facilitate the operations. At the end, you want to be able to have your staff members have the time to be with the guests and doing what is the most important, right?
Yep.
So let's start wrapping up, and I have a question for you. Looking ahead, what do you think will be the biggest opportunity for restaurant owners and leaders to stay competitive in the next 2-3 years?
Keep innovating, keep up with the trends, because it ultimately comes down to what makes you different, not necessarily what makes you better. There's a lot of things that you can consider better, but people are looking for different. They're looking for experiences that it's hard to find in the U.S. You know, we're catering to the majority of the U.S. here. We're starting to open up to Latin America as well.
Definitely.
We have European guests coming in. It's what makes you different. So what can we as Aruba in general do that's gonna make us different?
Yes.
And also different concepts. Like, don't be scared to try something new. Keep innovating. Take a calculated risk once in a while. That's gonna make a huge difference, because it's easy to get complacent. Like, it works.
Yes.
It works. Let's keep it running. That's at the same time, complacency is also gonna cost you in time. So it's keeping up with the trends. And try to be as innovative as you can. And innovation doesn't have to be something new entirely. It could be a current thing that you have and make it better or make it different.
Definitely.
But being different, I think, is what's gonna set the tone.
And for us to be different, we need to have a certain amount of creativity.
Yeah.
And that is something we need to continue practicing all over again, because I think technology is making our life easier in many ways, and AI, but we need to maintain the creativity, because I mean, AI facilitates many things, but if you don't have the creative vision and ideas to keep you know, innovating and coming with new things, it's kind of a struggle as well. And I see that. You know, once you're in operations a lot, you're not that creative all the time.
Yeah, and this is my personal opinion. I don't know if anyone agrees with it or not, but this is my opinion. I feel like as Aruba in general, we cater so much to the American crowd that we lose track of what our culture is actually about.
I agree.
And
we can do better, let's say that way.
Yeah, our innovation lies
better.
in how can we bring our culture more to life. Could be on a plate, could be in the buildings that we do, the way that we receive people that come into Aruba. It's our culture is kind of taking a back seat towards the American culture, because that's who we cater to. And we think that that's what Americans want. No, not necessarily. They're coming here because they want a local experience. They want to feel like an islander, and what does that feel like? And you know, we go with what we know from them, but what do we know about our own culture?
That is true.
We should bring that more to life, and I think that's what guests want also. They want those type of experiences, and I kind of feel like that's kind of withering away more and more and more. But again, that's my opinion, what I think I see. I think if we focus more on innovating from our own angle, that Aruba can establish itself even more as a premium destination, as a luxury destination, maybe in the future even. Who knows?
I agree, definitely. And last question, Chris. Who or what has been your biggest inspiration in your career, and how has that shaped your leadership style?
Well, one man comes to mind, he always comes to mind, it's Emmanuel Nelo.
Wow,
yeah,
yes,
him.
I remember him. He's the GM in
He is now the
Dubai?
hotel manager in the W.
In Dubai, right?
Not
Or
in
where is
Dubai.
it
I
in?
don't know exactly where it is, but he's a hotel manager of the W right now.
Wow.
In Asia.
In Asia.
That much
Okay,
I know.
okay, okay.
Yeah. We keep in touch via LinkedIn once in a while.
Nice.
He was my source of inspiration. That man
Nice.
embodies hospitality.
That is true.
I had an opportunity a couple of years ago back to work with him in the opening of the Ritz-Carlton Amman in Jordan.
Yes.
I went there for 10 days and I mean, it just reinvigorated how I felt about hospitality. He was the one who actually saw more in me than I saw in myself at the time.
Nice.
Because I applied as a bellboy, my first job.
Imagine,
And he said,
really?
no, I think you have the capacity to do supervise. I didn't even know what that was, supervising.
Wow.
He was the one who gave me my break. I owe my start of my career and everything that followed to him. He knows that. But yeah, if you talk hospitality, I think Emmanuel Neal, that's the one guy that pops up. He's been an inspiration. He still is till this day. I still, even though we don't speak each other a lot, still consider him a mentor. I will always consider him a mentor. We don't differ that much in age neither, but it's just that this man is...
He's
embodies it.
remarkable.
Yeah.
He indeed is.
Yeah.
Yes, I could see when he was at the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
He really loved his team members.
Yeah.
He was in the operations. Really, he was really given the example. And as leaders, we forget it. And giving the example is not always at work, but as the person that you are.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk embodying hospitality, he also embodies leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of those people that,
That is
still
true.
till this day that he cares. And he
Yes.
shows that. And
Yes.
I mean, I have some great leaders here as well. Paul, our GM.
Yes.
And he is amazing and he walks around, everybody knows him. But he's approachable. And
Yes.
sometimes as leaders we forget that as leaders we should be approachable.
Yes.
We're not on a high horse, we're not on a pedestal. We should be there for the people. I think, I'm in the right place.
I'm glad for
Yeah,
you. I'm
yeah.
really, really, really glad for
Yeah.
you, Chris, to see you here from where you started, the whole trajectory of your career. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in 2-3 years, see what you're up to. So
We'll
thank
see.
you,
Time
thank
will
you.
tell.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you so much for your
You're
time,
welcome.
Chris.
Thank you.
And for all our viewers, if you have any questions that you would like to learn about other leaders in the hospitality industry, please contact me, send me your questions, and I would love to use your questions for our next interviewer, and we will see who that person will be. Maybe I'm Paul, you never know. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes.